us the way. Help us understand why they hate us so much, Lord. We try so hard, and yet they hate us. But yet they love Donald Trump, and he's a man that they say they like because he tells it like it is, and he speaks the truth as he sees it, and he's not afraid to say what he really thinks. But Lord, they hate us when we do the same thing. We don't understand, Lord. Please help us understand why they hate us so much. Let us try to find a way to get a Republican to come here and let us prove to the world that we're not hate-filled. We don't hate Republicans the way they hate us, Lord. Please let us find a good and decent person who's brave enough to come here and sit down with us and let us talk as Americans need to learn to do again. Because, Lord, we're not bad people. I think you know that. Lord, please show us the way. And Lord, please help me remember that I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and gosh darn it, people like me too.
It's time for the Pat and Patti Show, starring Patti Smith and Pat Hughes. Welcome to the Pat and Patti Show with this week a special guest, Dennis Suit, who is a friend of the show and a friend of Paulding.com and has been for a while. We've been sitting here chatting up a little bit, and you folks are going to really kind of like the idea that, you know, we've got, let's put it this way. We've been kind of beat up because you bunch of liberals out there just whining and carrying on and all that sort of crap. Well, Dennis is a ace #1 conservative. I mean, he is
big time conservative.
Oh, absolutely. He goes back in conservatism. He even likes Sarah Palin.
Yes, and he's brave enough to come here and talk to us.
Well, I appreciate you inviting me, but I don't know how I can live all that down.
Well, I thought you're a proud conservative. Dennis has had time as a defense contractor.
Mm-hmm.
He's had dinner with SEAL Team 6, as they say.
He's had a very interesting life.
Oh yeah, we read an article up there about him in a firefight in Vietnam, where he was one of a half dozen or so survivors.
Oh, I don't know how many survived. I remember something about 20, but I think.
But you know, give us a little bit of your conservative wisdom, because we really want to know.
Well, I'm not so sure exactly where we would put conservative, and I guess I am a conservative, but I can be in the middle.
Well, see, so that means you can think.
But the problem we have on the Hill today is they can't get to the middle.
Right.
I don't care if they're Democrats.
Right.
Or Republicans.
Right.
You know.
It's like a war in Washington instead of governing.
You know. I have been the best friends in the world of an older year, but with Republicans and senators.
Yes, well, but in like 20 or 30 years ago in Washington D.C., Republicans and Democrats hung out together. They liked each other. They were friends with each other. They worked together. They hung out after work together, but now they hate each other.
You know, we've had some great secretaries, senators that were senators. We've had almost everybody. Well,
you're talking about Nunn
and that crowd.
What about Dale Bumpers? I like Dale Bumpers.
Sam Nunn, as far as I know, I haven't seen him in a long time. We're always best of friends.
Yeah.
And didn't have any problem with him, and then I'm getting old, but he replaced.
Tell me.
Oh, you're talking about Saxby?
Not Saxby.
No, the guy in the wheelchair.
Not going the other way.
a Democrat? He was a Democrat or
he
a
was Democrat.
Republican?
He was the youngest senator ever elected.
Okay, yeah, I know who you're talking about, the former Secretary of State, and his name escapes me as well. I have his book. I mean, he gave me his book when he was Secretary of State.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and
But he went. I was talking about.
oh, come on, Dennis.
Speaker. That doesn't matter. But he was one of our first great senators.
Yeah.
When
From
he
Georgia.
died from Georgia, when he died, 1/3 of every defense dollar was spent in the state of Georgia.
Wow.
Oh, okay. That goes back to the 50s and 60s
Yes.
and whatever. But yeah, I understand. And
Somebody asked him in South Georgia when he was him and my dad were great
Yeah.
friends, and somebody asked him in Albany one day, "Are you going to vote for Howe?" And he said, "No, I'm going to vote straight Republican, straight Democratic ticket if I got to hold my nose to do it."
yeah. Yeah. Incidentally, just as a case in point, Dennis' father was Hal Suit, who was the first Republican gubernatorial candidate selected by a primary in 1970 and was ultimately beaten by Jimmy Carter, who ended up being president of the United States, and he doesn't like Jimmy Carter either. Do you?
Wasn't he also a newscaster on Channel 2?
My dad, for so many years,
Yeah.
he used to say, the name I was thinking of was Senator Russell.
Oh.
But
Yeah.
yes, he used to brag about that he had more. He did the noon news and then the evening news.
Yes,
and
I
he used to
remember.
brag about because the polls proved that he had lunch with more women every day in the state of Georgia than any man walking, because he, you had the days when the housewives
Right,
were home and
right.
all that.
Yeah.
And he had. He's never by any newscaster in Georgia. No one's ever had the ratings he had.
He was always on at my mother's television, and my mother was a big lover of news. She loved current events. She watched news religiously, and she always watched your dad.
Now, if everybody voted for my dad, as they tell me they did, then I'm sure we would have beat Jimmy Carter.
Yeah, well, people don't always tell you the truth.
Oh well,
You know who I liked in that group was Rosalind.
Oh,
I
she's
liked
a
her.
wonderful
I liked her a lot.
woman. You know, I heard him tell a great story the other day. He was being interviewed about some book he's written or something, I think, and he said that he met Rosalind on the day she was born. He was like 3 or 4 or 5 years old. He was very young, and she lived next door, and he went and met her on the day she was born, and that he loved her ever since. It was such a sweet story.
Oh, okay. So she was the girl next door, is what he was saying.
Yes.
And in those days, they had babies at home.
I think he's done many presidents. But what he's done since he's left the presidency, I think he's done a very commendable job.
Right.
These people that
Well,
carry grudges, I just give up on.
I know.
Yeah.
I mean,
There's an
there's-
old saying: if you hate somebody, you're only hurting yourself because you're
know.
not bothering them.
yeah.
You
Well, that's
are
the old
right.
story. You hate somebody and want them dead. Go dig 2 graves, one
That's
for
right.
them and one for
For you.
yourself.
Well, I always say that hate says a lot more about the low character of the hater than it does about the hated.
Yeah. Well, that. But we were talking about presidents and presidential stuff, and tell me what you think of Donald. I mean, we're pretty dismissive of the Donald,
Yeah.
and that's one of the people that you've never met.
No, it's one of the few. Well, a lot of people I haven't met.
Yeah. Well. Well, you knew Poppy Bush and
Yeah, I knew
all those folks. And,
Yeah, I knew everybody. But I shouldn't say that. But
Yeah.
But you knew a lot of important people in Washington, D.C.
I'll have to tell a story that at one time I used to spend a lot of time on the Hill. And so this lobbyist came and see me. He said, "I can really help you lobby on the Hill." He said, "You've got to hire me." And this went on and on. I finally got tired. I said, "All right, I'll come. I'll meet you in the House cafeteria." And he came up there, and he came up there, and we were sitting there, and about 4 senators, which really came all the way over from the Senate side to talk to me. And then several House members stopped by and said, "We heard you were here, Dennis," and talked to me. And he looked at me and he said, "I don't think I can help you." but we're talking about starting to talk about Donald Trump here.
Yeah.
I think it's very, first of all, crudeness. They say he's crude. He's too crude to be president. Well, if I want to go back to Truman, pretty profane.
Oh yeah.
Very profane. There's an old story that many people know about when some members of the press insisted that his daughter couldn't play the piano.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, he left the White House and he walked fast and just cussing all the way. I'm gonna kick that SOB's ass when I get over to the press club.
He was a mad daddy, huh?
He was a mad daddy. Eisenhower was extremely profane.
Really?
He was so profane that that even bothered his staff.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that about him. He's the first president. We were talking earlier about presidents. You remember, he's the first president I remember.
Well, I don't know how he was in the presidency, but as a general, you know, he plays this diplomacy role that he was most, because he was so diplomatic,
Right.
get everybody to work together. Maybe
Right.
he could, but I mean, if he spoke a paragraph, if there was one word that could be not be
Well,
they say that about him.
it served him well, I guess. He did run Project Overlord pretty well.
Yeah, he did a good job of
Yeah,
it.
he did a good job of that.
That's what upsets me today.
What?
You know, nowadays the president's always the problem. Well, I can guarantee you that Roosevelt wasn't calling up Ike every day and they're talking about what Ike's going to do in the morning.
No.
They told Ike to win the war, and I bet you there was not a lot of conversation
Right.
going on in between, and the same way with Douglas MacArthur in the Pacific.
Right.
I mean, they were given a job now.
Right. Do it.
Do it.
Yeah.
And-
Well, it wasn't, what got Douglas MacArthur fired was the fact that he wanted to make the grand entrance on Truman, and that pissed Truman off.
Yeah.
He says, "I'm the guy. I'm the boss."
I think he kept Truman waiting for several hours or something like
Well,
that.
I think what he did is he kept his plane in the air until Truman landed, so that Truman would greet his on his plane. And Truman says, you know, he gets on the ground, he greets me. You know, I mean, it was all ego. I mean, all this is ego. In fact, when you start thinking about ego and you start saying, who needs ego? Who has the big ego?
Let me see. Could it be Donald Trump?
Yes, exactly. I mean, he builds
ego-
big
I
buildings
would say
and puts his name at the
egomaniac.
top. And,
Yeah, well,
But you like him, or do you?
well, I have not met the man.
Well, you like him politically.
But you
I
like him as a
politically
candidate?
because, you know, he talks off the top of his head. Why do I have to have a written speech? If I'm going to run for president and you want to talk about the road network in America, why do I need a written speech to talk about it?
Because it is the nature of conversation that people make mistakes. I mean, we've made
Or they
mistakes in
forget.
our conversation. Or they, you know, and if you're just speaking totally off the cuff, while that could be an attractive trait, it could also start a nuclear war.
Well, but here's one thing that I hear most Republicans say that they like about Donald Trump is that he says what he really thinks. He says whatever he believes, and he just says it. But recently in the last show, I said what I believed about things, and Republicans didn't like it very much. So they don't like it when everybody says
Well,
what they mean.
These people worry about what people say. You know, I worried about what people say about me every day.
I know. That's why I don't worry what they say about
You
me.
see
I
the
couldn't
gray
care
hair?
less.
It would even be grayer.
I know.
By the way, I tried to send to have the more mature look, you know.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I've
See,
been dying
and
it for years.
it's working. It makes you look smart and well experienced.
Yeah, and I've got the young look, the
Oh,
young,
The shaved head look.
yes, there you go.
You got a shoe shine rag somewhere?
I was saying we needed a powder.
Maybe go back to the powder wigs, you know.
Oh yeah. That
Yeah,
would be
I could look very
Wouldn't that
distinguished that way.
fit
Yeah.
your age group?
Yes, it does. Okay. Well, you know.
trashing you,
I've been
Pat.
waiting to get him.
Yeah, I understand.
So a lot of other people.
Yeah, I know, and that's fine. One of the things I'm really wanting to show by bringing you on, and as a conservative and whatever, is that we aren't dragons, and we don't cut you up and spit you out, and you get to give as good as you get. But some people are just too afraid of us.
I'd say they're cowardly,
the
cowardly lions.
The biggest problem in Washington, and I'm not that. This is not Democrat or Republican issue. Is the money.
Yes, that's the problem in Washington, D.C., is that our government is bought and paid for. It is a wholly owned subsidiary of corporate America.
Well, look at that 1930 comic that used to. He had a line.
1930s comic.
Yeah, he a cowboy with a.
Oh, you know about Will Rogers?
Yes.
He said something. I have to paraphrase this, but he said something. We have the best. We have the best government in the world. It's paid.
The best government money can buy.
Yeah, we have the best government.
Yeah.
That's true. It's only gotten worse.
He was great. He was a great.
Yeah, well, there are all sorts of pundits, and there's this idea that government is all bad and stuff. Actually, I've been writing on Paulding.com, obviously, and one of the things I've observed is, there was a discussion about healthcare. Okay. And in Europe, we know that they spend 9-10% of their GDP, and they provide universal health care and the whole bit. Okay. Now, what that says, it says two things about us, because we spend 17% and it's all private, it says private and public.
Yeah.
But it says that those folks have got enough confidence in their government to have public people do this and get better bang for the buck. In other words, if you've got confidence, I think we've been hiring the wrong people for the last 35 years to do this, because they have this idea that government is incompetent, incapable, and will waste. And since we believe that, what else would we do besides be wasteful?
When we had Sam Nunn up there, right after he quit, I don't know, we had met somewhere, maybe we have lunch together. We've had lunch there a few times. I said, Sam, why did you quit? He said, I couldn't get anything done.
Yeah.
So I just gave up.
Well, because
he was a great man.
Yes, used to we elected statesmen. We elected the smartest guy we could find, and we sent him to government. Now we find a used car salesman, a glad hander, a good old boy slapping you on the back.
Speaking of that, I used to work for the guy that Dale Bumpers beat.
Really?
Oh, yes, I did. And, he was known as a shoe shine and a smile. But he was a very, very popular guy. I know that because I did the opposition research.
We hire people that are jokes in the government.
And I don't wish to disparage everybody, but we have a fairly poor military leadership right now. We don't have any Eisenhowers. We don't have any Patton. If you'd taken Ike and if you'd taken maybe
George C. Marshall was actually pretty good. I know that he got kind of besmirched by Joe McCarthy, but
it became political.
Well, it was always political at the high end. The only tactical general, strategic general, was probably Patton.
Well, Patton and Douglas MacArthur would never made it past lieutenants in the day's Navy, or the day's military, I should say. You know what I'm saying? Never made it. They've been thrown away as a lieutenant because of their attitudes,
Yeah.
And look at what happened to David Petraeus, which is one of the most well-known generals of late. I mean,
what did he do wrong?
Well, apparently
explain to me what he did wrong.
I think he
flirted seriously and beyond with a reporter, wasn't he?
Well,
but I
don't think there's any question that Ike had slept with his driver from the time the war started.
Yeah, and she probably saw some secrets too.
And the British even assigned her to the U.S. Embassy where they could continue the relationship.
But maybe he didn't give her classified material, but I think that's what David Petraeus did. He gave classified information to this reporter that he should not have done.
It's amazing to me. I'll tell a story. I was doing a briefing in Washington, and I wrote this briefing. It was my briefing. And I turned it in to the committee that I was going to brief, and it was a classified operation. So I got to Washington, and I wrote it,
Yeah.
and now I was supposed to come up and deliver the speech.
Right.
And I got up there, and they said, "Well, Dennis, you can't come in. We've classified it." You know, I think they use, if they want to hide something, what's the best way to hide? Oh, classify it. You know?
I know. I think they classify too much.
Well, they do. They
Yeah.
do. They I can guarantee you that I could cut the defense budget and waste, and not cut one program, just cut the waste out.
Yes.
50. I cut it in half. And
I don't think it'd be that hard.
It's not hard to do at all.
If we would elect some accountants to go to Washington D.C. instead of used car salesmen, I think we'd be a lot better off.
Well, I think we ask them to pray too often. The people
Yeah.
we send to Congress and
Yes.
in elected government with it. I mean, they spend too much time praying.
Believe me,
I
I've
think a
been out
problem.
with
I think
senators
so.
and congressmen, and you know, when you get them away from that environment and they know you're not going to say anything, that's the biggest thing you have to run is don't talk about,
Yeah. Don't tell what you know.
don't tell what you know.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we both got shit-faced in a bar last night. You know what's that about? What Phoenix? What stays in Phoenix?
What happens in Vegas stays in
stay
Vegas.
there, right?
Exactly.
And they're people. They got great wives, you know, great kids, and but it's just you can't get anything done of it.
No, because they hate each other. Because the country, you know, is just been so polarized by, I think, by hate radio and
Oh, now you said something.
oh,
Hate
what-
radios. Do those people, when they open their mouth, they don't have the slightest eye. I don't think there's a one up there that has the slightest idea what they're talking about.
Oh, you mean on the hate radio? Yes.
I mean,
because to me,
not necessarily on the hate radio. Journalists and period.
well, yes, because journalists aren't really journalists anymore. They don't. It's corporate owned media now.
Well, they'll lead a story with jet airliner just crashed.
Right.
They'll put up a picture of a pipe cup. They do. It drives me nuts. You know.
Well, the thing that, like, when I
Mortar bomb.
when
Mortar bomb. What is a mortar bomb?
I don't know.
I think it's referred to as a mortar shell. They misquote everything.
Well, they're not the brightest bulbs in the chandelier of life, has been my experience.
I did see a very interesting study here. What I like about my iPhone, you know, they do publish. I can get all the news on it without
Yes,
waiting.
I know. I love reading
with-
on my phone.
Yeah, with not waiting. That is why this is going to do away with news.
I know.
Because I don't have to wait.
I know. But the problem now is that people can find news that they like. Like, if you're a conservative and you hate Obama, then you're going to watch Fox News. That's where you're going to get your news every single time. And if you're not, then you really don't have a place for news anymore.
With Obama, my position with Obama is...
I know it's my phone. Just
That's your
pretend
phone.
it's not happening.
My position with Obama is I don't agree with some of the things he's done,
Me too.
but he is the President of the United States.
Last time I checked.
And he does require respect.
I agree
I
with
can
you.
tell you, I have spoken to a number of presidents on the phone,
Yeah.
and you can't talk to a president on the phone without standing up.
Really?
You know, you gotta stand up. You know, and
Well, this is the first president I have ever. I mean, I know that there was a lot of people who didn't like George W. Bush, and I was one of them. But I never hated him. I didn't hate him and just want to see him die. But I mean, this is the first president in my lifetime, I think, that I've ever seen that is hated with a white hot kind of heat like I've never seen before.
to be honest about Kennedy, he would never got reelected in the South.
Really?
Never.
Oh.
The day he got killed, I was standing in WSB reading the wire machines. So I read the bulletin when when it came over. And the first thing they did was send me down to that traffic circle where I think Spring comes this way and Peachtree goes that way, that curve down there.
Yes.
I was doing a man on the street interview, and most everybody was applauding that that son of a bitch got killed.
Really?
We got rid of that. I mean, he
I don't remember that. Of course, I was in the 5th grade.
Well, I was in the 7th grade, and that was or 8th grade, somewhere along in there. And yeah, the kids that were politically attuned and conservative and whatever, they were.
Really?
Oh yes.
I didn't know
well,
that.
you hate. I mean, I don't want to get 10,000 calls in here, but.
Yeah, they'll hate on you if you say something.
Well,
that you don't
by the
like.
same token,
he would not have got. He could not have carried the South if he had lived to get.
No, he probably would have lost the South, and that was Goldwater was already doing his Southern strategy, and we all know about the Southern strategy and that whole bit, and you know it's.
I do know something about. I do know more about him than some people think.
Kennedy.
I'm. One of my businesses that I try to make a living at is building military patrol boats. So I'm very familiar with PT boats and all that. And I met his crew chief
From PT 109?
from PT 109, and everybody says that no, the whole crew was dead. Well, there was a guy that lived in Smyrna who was his crew chief, and he sure was not dead.
Really?
Yeah.
And what did he reveal to you, Dennis?
Well, first of all, he was because of his back.
Right.
He did. I don't know how far to get back from. I guess they went back to
Yes.
many years.
Yes, they did. He definitely had him when he was in the Navy.
Yeah, but before so he had them He had the crew cut him a sheet of plywood before he could put under the mattress in his bunk. But then, if he wanted something done, he never ordered it. If he wanted them to swab the deck, guess who got out there first?
Him?
Him swabbing it.
Really?
Yes, and then everybody followed him.
Right.
You know, the command is about leadership. It's not
Yes.
about orders.
Yes, it is.
You know,
It is.
That's why they call it platoon leader.
Yeah.
You know, a squad leader.
Yeah.
It's about leading.
Yeah, you need your people to want to work with you.
And,
You need the people that are under you to obey and want to do it, not think it's son of a bitch. I hate that guy.
I've been there before. I mean, the only way you can get the people to follow you up the hill is go up, be in front.
Yeah.
You know.
Right.
And,
Yeah, you got to be out front if you're going
and
to
I
lead.
used to say that the life of a platoon leader in World War II was about 3 seconds.
Yeah.
You know, and but this is one thing I see. Another subject I see is business leadership. It disappeared in this country.
Well,
It's vanished.
Well, actually, you know, if you want a technical explanation of that, it would be, wow, the computer gave us the spreadsheet. The spreadsheet told us that if you did this, it gives you $2,000 more in a quarter than doing this, and so we let the spreadsheet rule. And you know, if it says that you need to fire 10,000 people and that will increase your stock price, well, you fire 10,000 people. It doesn't make any difference. You know, any of the other things. It's only what's going to make it look good at the end of the quarter. This is something that's been written up in the business academic press and the whole bit. It's actually just being short-sighted and concentrating on
the bottom line.
On the bottom line now.
Yeah, people don't matter anymore. Human beings don't matter anymore. It's just money.
I know it, and then you don't get much about humanity in a spreadsheet.
No, you get nothing. Another thing too, I always saw about computers is that used to you had a boss, you had a secretary, you had an accountant, you had all these different jobs under this person, but then along came the computer and you were your own secretary because you had Word, you were your own accountant because you had Excel, you were your own office boy because you had email. I mean, all these people went away. Now it's just you and your little keyboard.
Well, we allow accountants to take control. Then we also have people that go out and buy businesses and then think they
Well, they buy them because the spreadsheet says if you're better off if you sell off all the parts, and you'll make more money.
Maybe I shouldn't say this, but I do been known to spend a little time hanging out in Hooters.
Oh yes.
And Hooters bought Hooters, and they've been trying to make it a restaurant ever since. Hooters is never going to be a restaurant.
No, it was not created to be a restaurant.
And I argue with them about that all the time. They're always trying to change it.
It's a bar.
It's a bar
and big
with
boobs.
very attractive young ladies walking around. It is not a family restaurant, and it's never going to be a family restaurant.
It's not.
Mm-hmm.
I was in a Hooters once in Florida and realized that it was strictly for the boobs. It was not for the food.
Well, that's expensive. I will say that there. I mean,
You felt right at home, didn't you?
but I will.
Dennis does too, being a
I
boob.
know.
No.
He's a boob man.
But the ladies down there who sometimes get dispersed on because they got.
Well, there's nothing wrong with having
Nothing wrong
big
with
boobs. I mean, one of my best friends in life has giant breasts. They're uncomfortable.
Well, let me ask you this, Dennis, because I mean we're still trying to do this conservative, liberal thing and whatever, and just out of the blue, we happened to notice that there was a law being proposed that would say that if you're say Chick-fil-A or a corporation of that nature, Hobby Lobby, any of these type of folks, and you've got a female employee that's single that gets pregnant, or does something else that would not be considered appropriate in the Bible, we've had some laws introduced that would say that it's okay to fire them. Is that a good conservative Republican stance in yours?
I think I will tell you I have really gotten involved in this argument with who's corporate management, and then we got some pretty hard arguments about how you should be running this place. And they ask me, they always jump on me. Well, why do you care? You're just a customer. I said, well, I'd like to see it successful.
Right.
Successful.
I like this place and would like to see it continue going on.
I like Chick-fil-A.
Right.
I want every restaurant on the
Strip
to be successful.
Right.
And if I can do something,
Right.
I'd say something to them to make them successful, I feel like I'm helping my community.
Exactly.
You know, I don't want to go in and say disparaging words about the gals and Hooters or Charlie's or Steak and Shake. You know,
They make good money at Hooters. I mean, the waitresses there, they make good money.
If you're right.
They probably make a lot more than if they were working at Waffle House or something.
Waffle House gals do pretty good money.
Yeah, actually,
I'm sure.
Actually,
Hooters.
one of the things that I saw, I watched who was it? Lewis Black, Bill of Rights comedy tour. They were raising money for to put Bill of Rights statues on all the state capitals. Okay. Dick Gregory was one of the first people. Remember Dick Gregory from the 70s and 80s? He's a radical black comedian, and he was making a point. I thought it was a great joke, and it was saying, you know, us black people that did the civil rights. When you go into an airport and you see a short, stubby, fat woman that is a stewardess, we did that. We did that because before you had to, you had to be a certain type of style or whatever. But now, the civil rights are such that you could be that way, and we're real proud. I mean, all you women out there need to, pay homage to the civil rights movement because of that.
Because somebody's got pregnant. I mean, you get married and you get pregnant and those things happen.
Yes.
Well, these are unmarried, and so
unmarried.
Or if they're married to, let's say that they've gotten in vitro or something like that, which.
Well, I will give credit to Hooters management. In fact, they let a girl work up until the last 2 weeks.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that's impressive.
Yeah, they are very, very good about trying to take care of
their employees.
Of their employees. They work hard at that.
That's wonderful.
And you can't fault them for that.
No, because
the only
there's
thing
not-
I fault them for is you try to make it a restaurant, and it's never going to be a restaurant.
Because I would think that Hooters would be a great place for a woman to work because you would make better money
Well, I'll
there
tell
than you would
what,
in a lot of places.
You know,
Be careful there, Dennis. I know that you know more than.
I tell you what, they are very protective of those girls.
And they should be.
Boy, let me tell you.
One of my biggest
and
problems.
they don't let it drop. I mean, forgive my French, but or you slap one of those little girls on the ass down there, and the next thing you're going to be in handcuffs. Real quick, you're going to be in handcuffs.
I am impressed. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Because that's one thing that I find with business
It never occurred to
nowadays
me.
is that they don't take care of their employees. The employees are just trash. Yeah, I can get a new one of you any day. You're worthless.
Well,
to
I think
me.
it's probably a little bit different in retail, or at least some areas of retail, because these people really are the face of the business.
Right.
And they if they've got any. Well, in case of Hooters, maybe
my face is up here.
body.
Well, that's my favorite restaurant, but I'll shut up about it.
Okay, yeah, well,
I'm probably already in trouble, you know.
Yeah. But do we want to talk about anything else, or you want to say good day? Good day. I don't know.
Well, we've got a list of things here that we never talked about any of them, but we don't have to. Just having Dennis here was wonderful
Donald Trump
enough.
I would vote for Trump.
Would you?
Yeah, I would.
Okay.
Not me.
Okay. I know that.
The thought of Donald Trump having his finger on the nuclear football is...
That's
I'm sure I heard a comedian talking the other day about what would happen if Donald Trump was elected. That the White House would immediately be bulldozed and a big Trump tower put up.
he just put his name on the outside of it, neon lights.
Yeah.
I have never met the man. I think I'd like to meet the man. I do know some people that know him, and I know some people that know him very well.
I'm thinking if I saw him walking down the street, I'd cross to the other side.
He's definitely they say that he's the quick to laugh about himself. I mean, he's not as he comes off, you know.
Yeah. Well, I'll be honest. I've some of the stuff I've read in some of the political oriented, they really dislike the guy. In other words, the traditionalist. He is a disruptive character. They know that they can't control him, and that's actually one of the attractions that he's gotten. And also also Bernie Sanders. I think they don't trust Bernie Sanders to do what they tell him to do, so to speak. Hey, look, you can't help but look at the people that are the number of people that are running for the Republican nomination.
What is there, 17 or 18?
Yeah, but you also can't help but look at the number of billionaires that have lined up behind some of them, and they're threatening to wager 10, 20, 50, $100 million a piece, maybe even $1 billion. I think Koch brothers were saying 984 million or something, of how they going to buy a president, so to speak. In other words, it's kind of like, even H.L. Mencken was talking about elections are nothing but auctions.
Yeah, that's what it is.
And so
that's why we better take money out of politics.
That is what has, I think, the core of the attraction of Donald Trump. And also, to a lesser degree, I think, Bernie, but it's also the problem with Jeb Bush, and it's also the problem with Hillary Clinton.
Yes.
Is that they have the perception of being the toadies of the oligarchs.
Yes.
Well, to me, I don't.
But Donald Trump is an oligarch.
Well,
yeah, exactly. I mean,
I'm a Southern boy. You're ahead of my vocabulary there now.
Oligarch is a rich guy that runs the government.
he's the man behind the scenes pulling the string.
He's the man behind. I thought they were back in that smoky room with them cigars. I thought that was the group that ran the show, you know.
Well, that was the group that brokered for them, in essence. And we actually did have a little bit different structure. We were not as oligarchic in the 20s, 30s, and whatever, when the smoke-filled rooms were there. But I mean, you look at look at either one of the Roosevelts. They were of the quote ruling class, and it's and you could say that about any number of other.
But they
presidents.
seem to actually care for the little people.
Well, that was the reason they got the reputation as being the guys that betrayed their roots.
Conservative ideas.
Well, I think
yes.
that you that
Starve
office,
them,
regardless
yeah.
of Republicans, you got to have somebody. It's got to be well versed. You got to have somebody smart up there.
Yes.
I mean, you have to.
Well, that's my complaint, is that lately we don't have smart people there anymore.
Well, I think that you're wrong, because Obama's very, very smart.
Oh, he's smart, but there's
Ted Cruz is.
there's a
Well,
few-
actually, Ted Cruz probably is.
he is a smart guy.
and-
but the point is that there's a few smart guys that slip through, but most of them are like used car salesmen, if you ask
I
me.
think you have to look at it this way. We have, I don't know, how many we got running the Republican Party now? 15?
17 or 18, I think.
And we got, on the other side, we have running.
There's
Four or five.
three or
Yeah.
4 or 5.
But I don't think we've ever had a president. I can't find it hard to believe we've ever had anybody in that office, Republican senators or congressmen, that intent was not, their intent was never to harm the government. I mean, they didn't go up there saying, well, I'm going to harm the government, you know?
No,
Well,
but
actually,
conservatives,
right now they are. In other words, that's the
Yes.
meme that's
Yes.
occurred with basically the ascension of Koch and that bunch, is that government is bad.
well, and
Taxes are bad, government's bad, and it's an old
Wait,
saw
but-
from.
but-
We have to do something with the tax program. I mean, I have a good accountant. I go down here, and he's been around. He's older than I am, and I'm 73. Well, maybe only 50. But,
it was a mistake. He's 53.
he sometimes he gets online, talks to IRS, and
Yeah.
nobody can give him an answer.
But he saves. Oh, really?
Yeah.
But he saves you a lot of money. Well, yeah, it's
I hope he does.
Well, here's the thing, that now I think that conservatives these days really do literally hate Obama and want to see him fail. I think they hate him more than they love America.
Well, I can't see any reason to hate the man. I mean,
Good for you, Dennis.
there's an old story that they tell about the Army. You know, you can argue with the 4-star until he makes a decision, and then you go down the road he wants to go down.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
or get out.
Right.
Don't stand around and bitch. I don't like these decisions. Either follow him or get out. you
Right.
know? And it's
Fight going on here in Paulding County between the ultra-conservative Tea Party and the traditional Republicans. That fight is going on, and it's a fight going on around the country in every municipality, in every county. There's a group trying to take over, and I find it a little frightening.
well, I remember one day we were in, I think it was Lake City, Florida. I used to shoot some commercials for Coca-Cola and those kind of people at one time in my life.
I used to do commercials.
And one of my guys they're dating the bartender's girl, and bartender kind of took offense to that. And
There's
his
no-
name was Moose.
Ooh, you don't mess with moose.
So that got to the point where it was, so I had to go up there, and I had to go up there, and I said, you could probably whip my ass, but you're gonna have to do it, okay? Or we can just sit down and have a drink and forget about it. Guess what happened?
You sat down and you had a drink
and forgot about it.
I know.
And
Yeah, but when we talk about some of these folks, I mean that's kind of the personality of this guy. I can't remember his name, that shot the women in the movie theater last night in Lafayette, Louisiana. He was outspoken guy. I mean, he had mental problems and whatever, and but it's
But he
that
was
kind
filled
of
with hate. He was a
fanaticism.
Yes.
It's the fanaticism.
He hated
that is
Obama.
there.
He hated everything.
Yeah, and
well, the one, I don't know. I was start to say something here about you
Working together.
you got to work together. I mean, we make a big mistake. Well, we just killed so and so Arab leader. I mean,
Right.
we just blew him away with blew him off the face of the earth. We haven't accomplished anything.
No.
If you kill a general in the U.S. Army, it only takes about 30 seconds before he's replaced.
Right.
You replace command.
Right.
So
Quickly.
trying to say that we've accomplished something. What did you accomplish by killing Obama? I mean, killing
The Iraq.
not Obama. I apologize.
Iraq.
I understand. In fact, let's before we leave, we need to cut this off here pretty quick.
Yeah.
But we've got the deal with Iran.
Yeah.
Obviously, Iran one time was an ally when we had the Shah, and of course we backed basically the Shah, who was real good at taking off fingernails and
Being a dictator.
Torture and stuff, and so
He was
they
our
got
dictator.
yeah, he was on our side. I mean, we hear a lot of people say we shouldn't be negotiating with them. I mean, who do you negotiate with but your enemies?
Right.
Yeah.
And this lack of negotiation attitude is really what the difference is between Democrats and Republicans.
I've always come out of school that the enemy of my enemies is my friend.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah, but I thought that in this county, and it didn't work out that way.
And,
Yeah, we were the enemies.
I'll have to say something about this county. I grew up basically over grew up in about 100 countries wandering around the world, but besides that, I used to live over in the Vinings area, and we moved out here about 6 years ago, and I said, I have never lived anywhere where people were so nice.
Really?
Everybody says hi, nobody's out to cut your throat, you know.
You haven't gotten to know some of them very well.
Yeah.
I don't.
And well, I'm pretty, I didn't fall off the turnip crop yesterday. I know who's pulling.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a very positive note to end on.
It is. I'm glad that you had
It's a
a
great
good
place to live,
experience
you know.
here.
Yeah.
And Ben, I didn't mean to jump on you. He'll know who I'm.
Okay. All right. For the Pat and Patti Show, this time with Dennis Suit, special guest. Hey.
Bye. Thanks for coming, Dennis.
Well, thank you guys. Would like to come back.
I hope you will.
I mean, you get me talking, you don't know, you know.
I know. We never know what you might say.